And now to understand some more about the diplomatic side of things, we're now joined by member of Knesset from the Likud, Boaz Bismuth. Boaz, considering the Palestinian authorities expressed support for the terrorists in Jenin, wouldn't the PA actually benefit if the IDF operation successfully neutralizes the terrorist threat and allows them to potentially return to the city that has been taken over by terrorist groups?
First of all, I must say that that's another very big disappointing for us. I mean, for me in particular, and for us in general, as Israelis, I would say, not even as an MK member of the Likud party, meaning you would expect them in the Palestinian Authority to understand that supporting terrorism leads to nothing. On the contrary, where did it lead them to? It led them to an authority who can't even control their own country, who can't make elections ever since 2006. On the contrary, I mean, turning their back to to terrorism would maybe contribute to and finally reach a certain, I'm not even speaking of peace, but to put an end to the cycles of violence that we have. But unfortunately, again, Palestinians again and again and again, I'm talking about the Palestinian Authority, make the choice of going with the terrorists.
Take us a little more into the behind the scenes of what's going on in the Knesset right now, today, in recent hours. What's the opinions? What are they saying about the operation?
Well, first of all, I mean, our prayers are to our soldiers. I mean, we first of all, we consider, I mean, that what they do is as they usually a holy work in protecting the nation of Israel. I mean, we expect the opposition to support, I mean, the military action and the decisions of the government. Don't forget, this concerns, I mean, the security of the state of Israel. These are issues where you tend to have a consensus in Israel. This is how it used to be. This is how it should be. This is how it has to be stayed, whether it's a left or right-wing government. Now, concerning, again, what is happening right now in Jenin, there are two issues, two things that must be understood for the Palestinian terrorists. First of all, is the fact that Jenin is not a safe place. I mean, this is not a place, it's not a rescue for terrorists. They must understand that Jenin is not a safe place anymore for terrorists or for terrorism. Second thing, I do believe that many terrorists in Jenin maybe did not understand or did not live or did not feel themselves, I mean, the strength of the Israeli IDF. And this is what they do right now. And will it deter them to continue in the future? I do hope so, because we in Israel, I mean, we seek peace. We never wanted to go to those cycle of violence. But they come and they attack you. When they come and take you to kill your children, you have the obligation to defend your population and strike them in Jenin.
That's a really strong message. Now, the operation in Jenin was initiated on the eve of Independence Day holiday in the U.S., happening tomorrow, a time when many government officials are on vacation. Could the timing have been intentional to keep things under the radar for a while? I mean, how is the U.S. responding to this operation?
Well, first of all, you know, we don't have the only calendar we have. I know when we look at the calendar, when you look at the schedule or the time or the dates, the only thing we see is Israeli lives, is Israeli population. We don't see, I mean, any special day for this or special day for that. But what I can say is America is important for us. America is our Israelis' best friend, the best ally. And we take into consideration what America thinks and what America speaks. And when we listen to America, what do we hear? We hear that battle of fighting terrorism is something that is not only legitimate, it's something that one has to do. Americans have done it in Afghanistan. Americans have done it in Iraq. Don't forget that Jenin is far more closer to my house, for example, where my kids live, than Iraq or Afghanistan. And this is why this operation in Jenin is more than legitimate. Don't forget, Israel is not operating against the Palestinian Authority. This is not an operation against the Palestinians. This is not an operation against peace. This is not an operation against negotiations in the future. This is an operation against terrorism. And therefore, I would expect the world to support it.
Boaz, we're putting the United States aside. What is Israel's goal here? I mean, why now? Why does Israel really hope to achieve with this operation this time?
First of all, I never said that we put America aside. I mean, America is a too big friend. America is our best friend, is our best ally. And therefore, I would always pay respect to this relationship between Israel and the United States. It is true that in the past, I mean, we not always, how would I say, we never agreed 100%. I mean, in many issues. Yet, in the fighting against terrorism, I think America understands Israel. More than that, I think America also condemns every terrorist attack against Israelis. In the last months, it has become a pattern that has become stronger and stronger of terrorists, Palestinian terrorists attacking Israelis. Now, Israel in 2021, in the operation in Gaza against Hamas, we succeeded in having this deter them and making them attack us since then. We have done the same a few weeks ago against the GAP, against the Palestinian Jihad in Gaza. Today, we're doing it against terrorists in Jenin. This is something that we're obliged to do. This is an obligation of an Israeli government. We have promised the Israelis during the election campaign. But again, as I said, whether you're right or left in Israel, the obligation that you have is the security of your population. And by the way, this is not an Israeli invention. This is any government in the world, whether it's French, whether it's Spanish, whether it's American, whether it's Mexican. You are obliged, you are entitled, this is your rule, this is your duty to protect your citizens. And you have seen what Israel has passed in the last weeks, in the last months. I mean, let's remind again about people being murdered waiting for buses, people being murdered, slaughtered in their cars. I mean, enough is enough. Our citizens are precious. Life is precious in the Middle East. And as I said again, we're not fighting against Palestinians. We're fighting against terrorists. What can I do? Those terrorists are Palestinians, and the Palestinian Authority has not done enough in order to prevent those terrorists to attack. On the contrary, in many cases, we have seen them not only accepting it, but even supporting it. So Israel has no other choice in doing the job, as they always, by ourselves and in the best way. And thank God we have the best army in the world to do that.
Enough is enough, and we have the best army. That's probably the best way to sum this all up. Boaz Bismuth, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.